His philosophy on boxing is very simple. When the bell rings, you start fighting. And he does that, which has sort of made the pace factor questionable, whether or not he has the stamina to maintain the pace he chooses to set. In winning the championship against Mathew, he used the right hand very effectively and scored a lot of points with it and ultimately rendered Parloff helpless. The left hand is used primarily from a power position of an uppercut. And it's considered by those who have fought him and those who have been around him and watched him to be one of the toughest blows that anybody at 175 pounds has ever carried in their arsenal. Mathew Franklin, on the other hand, has a tendency to arm hit, not using as much of the body leverage as he might. Perhaps that is one of the reasons that he's able to maintain a better pace through the course of a tough fight. But here in the early going, the champion has come out pressing, has used the right jab and the left hand very well. He goes ripping to the body. And one of the things that we pointed out in our small up-close and personal look at Mathew Franklin, he has shown in his personal history as having remarkable recuperative powers. The champion pressing the issue here in the first round. We've moved just beyond the halfway point of round number one. Johnson with a good stiff left to the face of Mathew Franklin. Marvin Johnson wearing the white trunks, the champion. Mathew Franklin, the challenger, in the blue. Hard right hand by Franklin, his best punch of the fight. Good left hand by Johnson. Neither man asks nor gives a quarter. They are both stand-up bangers. The right hand by Franklin was picked off by Johnson. Made a big sound, but had no effect. The right hand by Franklin over the guard of Johnson at the end of round number one. The champion walking to his corner. And the cornermen for the champion Johnson are Champ Chaney, who trains him, Leon Tabb, and Leon McGill. They seem satisfied with the first round by the champion. Johnson was the aggressor, as he was expected to be. He came out pressing the fight from the very beginning. The attitude or the thinking of Mathew Franklin, as he put it, was to be the matador and let Johnson be the bull, to pick him off as he makes his march in, because that's the way that Johnson fights. Nick Belfiore, Joe Belfiore, and Jimmy Hayes are the cornermen for Mathew Franklin. 15 rounds. We have had one round, and the champion, because of his aggressiveness and because of the early scoring in the opening minute, may very well have claimed round number one. The champion Johnson in the white trunks, the challenger to Franklin in the blue. Johnson pressing ahead. Hard right to the body, hard right to the face of Johnson. Both blows by Franklin, both landed. Hard left hand by Johnson rattles Franklin some. Remember, it's Johnson's hometown. This is the WBC championship at light heavyweight, 175 pounds. Victor Galindez is the WBA champion, having defeated Mike Rossman a few days ago. Will the winner, Galindez, meet the winner of this fight? Well, who can say? Somewhere down the road, maybe. No matter which man survives this war, it would be worth going to see, I'll tell you that. Remember the history of Johnson. He has shown in instances, particularly in his last fight against Franklin, this run out of gas late. Whereas Franklin has shown remarkable abilities to come back. And Franklin just tagged Johnson with a hard right hand, and the champion seemed to wobble from the hard right. Lost some of the sharpness. Lost his ability to move around. There was a little bit of a slip in that stumble by the champion. Right now it is Franklin ripping away. Here in the second round, it is Franklin beginning to assume command. Hard right hand to the jaw of Johnson. Franklin pounding away at the body. Brilliantly conditioned athlete. Johnson comes back with a hard left hook to the side of the head. It was expected to be a war, and that's what it is. Two stand-up, dirty fighters at 175 pounds, boiling away as we're coming up on 10 seconds to the end of round number 2. A hard left hand by Johnson.
Tomorrow, it's college football 1979, live from this East.
Scored the round even. So the champion then, at this point, Marvin Johnson, was leading in that championship bout in Indianapolis as we go to the 4th round and Keith Jackson.
Round 4, and Marvin Johnson comes out winging a right hook to the body of Mathew Franklin. It was that solid uppercut that seemed to rattle Franklin by the champion in the 3rd round. First time we've seen him let it go. That is his prime weapon, the most punishing blow he carries. Showing more ability with the right hand than he has previously, however. These two are so determined that the tempo of the round, the pace of it seems to ebb and flow. First one will bang away and then the other. Franklin seems willing, as he has in so many of his fights, to let the other man work for a while, and then suddenly he'll cut loose. When he senses the other man may be tiring just a little, then he lets it go. The right hand lead, of course, always very important for a right-hander facing a left-hander. Franklin hasn't thrown it that many times yet. Left hook on the side of the head by Johnson with authority. A little while there. Big slap to the back made a lot of noise. Didn't mean that much. On the side of the head. So far, Johnson has dominated this round. Neither man doing anything fancy. They're not jumping up and down, bouncing around. They're looking to hit each other. Hard right, then a left by Johnson. Quick with power. This has been the most decisive round in the fight so far for the champion. Marvin Johnson defending his title in the round.
Ball. Another exciting season on ABC begins September 8th. Last year's national co-champion, the Alabama Crimson Tide.
Of one of the judges. But the 6th round was a little different because Mathew Franklin swept the 6th round, which made that bout in April even going into this 7th round. A good round as we go back.
Round number 7. Both fighters with nicks now. Johnson has a bit of an abrasion inside and under, it seems, of the right eye. And the right eye of Mathew Franklin. Very puffy. Back in the 4th round, Johnson was able to get to Franklin with a couple of uppercuts and some hard left hands. Since that time, Franklin's covered better. There's the right hand lead. And it pops into the face of the champion, Marvin Johnson. An incredible life story told to us by Mathew Franklin at the beginning of the day's telecast. Abandoned on the streets of Philadelphia. Found himself and found a career that's going to set him up, he hopes, for the rest of his life. Both men, to a large degree, represent that one basic in our society that's so very important to our society. That is using your mind and body for opportunity. There's some blood coming down the right side of the face of the champion. Just a little bit, not much. A little bit of an abrasion in there. I can see the blood more on his trunks than I can on his face. Franklin now with a bloody nose. The right hand of Johnson used to be considered a slap by a lot of people, but it's got something on it right now. And it showed up particularly in winning the WBC light heavyweight title from Mathew, and it's very obvious here today against Mathew Franklin. It's that hard left, and it snaps Franklin's head around. Less than a half minute to go. Round 7. That left hand missed. It missed. Back into the rope. He's in serious trouble. Bell won't save him. Coming down to the end of the round. It was a hard right hand by Mathew Franklin. There's the bell. No count. Johnson, lucky. He almost went down. The bell won't save you at the end of the round. The champion in trouble as a right hand almost put him on his back. So Marvin Johnson taking a winging right hand from Mathew Franklin almost went down. Franklin just simply didn't have enough time to finish him off. You see the champion sagging back into the ropes, and Franklin swarming all over him after stunning him with that right hand. And the end of the round, and the champion able to go to his corner. Another look at it, and there it is, that right hand lead right on the button, and Johnson, wobbling around, sagging into the ropes, survived it. Now the question is, how good are his recuperative powers? Can he come back after being jarred so roundly in the closing moment? He's standing now, and he's the first off his stool. So here we go with round number 8. Right hand missed as Franklin loaded it up and threw it, and Johnson got away from it. He looks all right. but we're a long way from it. We're certainly not standing in front of Mathew Franklin. There's a good left hook thrown in there by the champion. So apparently he has shaken off the effects of Franklin's hard right hand that almost put him down at the end of round 7. Franklin unloading, nose bleeding, hard left hook by Johnson. Franklin indomitable right now, absorbing punishment, but dishing out more at this moment than he's taking. Very bad nosebleed by Franklin. Blood all over his face. Hard left hand by Johnson. Franklin comes right back, hounds him back into the ropes. Johnson looks a little weary at the moment. Another right and a left by Franklin. Blood all over his face. And Franklin standing there, flat-footed, throwing everything in his body. Hard right hand to the face of the champion. Another right hand to the face of Johnson. Johnson's in trouble on the ropes. And down he goes in his corner. Johnson is down from an accumulation of at least 100 blows as Mathew Franklin, blood all over his face. Marvin Johnson, shaken, wobbling. The fight is over. The fight is over in the 8th round. Blood all over the face of Mathew Franklin. He really is so weak himself, it doesn't appear that he can show much exhilaration at the victory. Marvin Johnson wilting under a fusilage of attack.
Where John Conti took on the tough Argentinian Jorge Ahumada. It was the biggest fight in British boxing for 2 decades, as Conti turned it on in the late rounds to win the decision. In England, only the referee scores the fight, and at the final bell, Conti wasted no time. He went right over to have his hand raised, world champion at 23. He made his first defense against American Lonnie Bennett. In the 5th round, a terrible cut opened over Bennett's eye, eventually causing the referee to stop the fight. There were some who accused Conti of deliberately butting his opponent, a charge that has surfaced repeatedly throughout his career. John Conti won his next fight, a non-title bout against Willie Taylor in Scranton, Pennsylvania, but he paid a terrible price. In the 6th round, he broke a bone in his right hand and was out of action for 14 long months. In his only fight in 1976, Conti made his second title defense against Yaqui Lopez. Using only his left hand, he put on a masterful boxing exhibition to win decisively. 6 months later, Conti defended against Lynn Hutchins in front of his hometown fans in Liverpool and scored a sensational knockout. But 2 months later, the boxing world was rocked when Conti pulled out of a title defense and was stripped of his crown. Yugoslavian Mate Parlov became the champ, and in June of last year, John tried to win back his title, but lost a controversial split decision. Since then, John Conti has fought 3 times against relatively easy opponents, but has been unimpressive. Here he's dropped at the bell against Jesse Burnett. He was lucky to salvage a draw in this fight, which raised serious doubts about whether he will ever again reach his peak form.